Welcome to the Politic Bear educational channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. As of time of recording, Canadians have had to endure 150 sessions of Canada's Parliament since Confederation of 1867, with the Conservatives and the Liberals being the party in power each and every time. That's right. Only those two parties have been in charge of the country. If you want to get really technical, there was a brief period during World War I where something called the Union Coalition was in charge, but they only had 5 sessions and they were actually just conservatives rebranded under a different name. It should be noted this was the same group of diabolical minds that brought in the Business Profits War Tax Act, income tax. That's right, folks, prior to World War I, there was no income tax in Canada. So they brought in a temporary measure. That's right, income tax was supposed to be temporary. It was never supposed to last. Well, they didn't teach you that in school. Wonder what other wonderful little tidbits they left out of the curriculum, eh? Well, that's for another video. Let's get back to talking about the sessions of Parliament. World War I altered Canada. It was an epic disaster by every metric. Total war on a modern industrial scale and scope that dwarfed anything that came before it. The generally accepted figure for total deaths over the war's 4-year span was about 40 million people from all causes. It includes things like disease and starvation. Canada was spared the worst because we were geographically protected by our oceans, but we still suffered 65,000 dead and another 150,000 wounded. This is substantial for a nation of only 7.2 million people. At the start, our military took in only volunteers, and in the beginning, there were plenty of those. But 2 years in, it was a different story. The treasury was depleted, and most of the willing volunteers had already, volunteered. Thus, conscription was proposed. There was plenty of opposition to that idea, though, especially in Quebec, and that was a real problem for the government because Quebec at the time had 30% of the country's population. So, presto, the Unionist coalition was born to ram through the widely unpopular conscription and income tax legislations. You see, the Conservatives didn't want to get the blame once the war was over, and so the rebranding was supposed to help with that. It did not. The 1921 election saw the Conservatives clobbered by the opposing parties. After that, the Conservatives started calling themselves Conservatives. Now that we've explained the Unionist coalition, we can say with confidence that either the Conservatives or Liberals have controlled every sitting session of Parliament. This means that every bad idea, poor policy, or government failure has been the fault of these two parties alone. Admittedly, there have been some good things like bringing in the Canada Pension Plan or public health care. The Conservatives voted against both of those, by the way. But good things have been few and far between. If you disagree, then I suggest you go shopping for groceries or a cell phone service provider. The cons and libs have gotten us to where we are today. You can blame no one but them, and you must blame them both equally, because if one had gotten in and rescinded the legislation that was poor, things would have improved. But that never happened. So they're both to blame, both equally. These two parties are two sides of the same coin, blaming each other for doing the same thing they themselves then do when they get into power. Both parties have a history of promising one thing and then doing another. Both vote themselves huge pay increases while your wages have stagnated. Both have handed millions of your tax dollars to huge corporations with virtually no strings attached. Stop voting them in, please. They have proven they value money over people. On top of that, remember, income tax was supposed to be temporary. Instead of removing it as they should have, or at least reducing it, they have let corporations get away with not paying their fair share. The super wealthy do not pay their fair share, but you do through your income taxes.